So what is the key of David, and why is it so important? Well, the Bible only mentions it directly by name twice. First in Isaiah, and then again in Revelation. However, once you understand what it is and what it's used for, you'll begin to realize that it's mentioned throughout the Bible in various places. Now, the Bible is like a book full of riddles and puzzles, and the key of David is a great example of that. So as we read through the verses, just pay close attention to certain key words. And as we go along, it'll start to build a picture and you'll begin to get a better understanding of what the key of David is and why it's so important. So here in Isaiah chapter 22, starting with verse 20, it says, "It shall come to pass in that day that I will call my servant Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, and I will clothe him with thy robe and strengthen him with thy girdle, and I will commit thy government into his hand. And he shall be a father to the inhabitants of Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. And the key of the house of David will I lay upon his shoulder. So he shall be open, and none shall shut, and he shall shut, and none shall open. And I will fasten him as a nail in a sure place, and he shall be for a glorious throne to his father's house." Alright, now jumping over to Revelation chapter 3, starting at verse 7, it says, "And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, These things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the key of David, he that openeth and no man shutteth, and shutteth and no man openeth. I know thy works. Behold, I have set before you an open door, and no man can shut it. Thou hast little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews, and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee." And then continuing in verse 10, "Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon the whole world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast," key word, "hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown." So now after reading these verses, we know that the key of David, whatever it is, it has to do with David, since it's mentioning his name. We know that it's some kind of fast, as mentioned in verse 10, and that by doing this, it'll keep us from the hour of temptation, which is the Great Tribulation. Now, what I believe is the Church of Philadelphia is also the 144,000, and they are mentioned in Revelation chapter 14. So let's head over there real quick. Alright, so here in Revelation 14, starting at verse 1, it says, "And I looked, and lo, a Lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps, and they sung as it were a new song before the throne, and before the four beasts and the elders, and no man could learn that song but the 144,000, which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being firstfruits unto God and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God." Okay, so now reading through this, we see that one of their qualities is that they have not been defiled with women, for they are virgins. Now, are they literal virgins, or is this something a little bit more spiritual? Well, we'll find that out later on. And again, down here at verse 5, it says, "In their mouth was found no guile." So they're not going to be lying about the Bible. So now we're going to head over to Matthew chapter 12 and see what the Messiah says. So here in Matthew chapter 12, it says, "At that time Yeshua went on the Sabbath day through the corn, and his disciples were hungered, and began to pluck the ears of corn and to eat. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, Behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day. But he said to them, Have you not read what David did?" Okay, pay attention to that. "When he was hungered, and they that were with him, how he entered into the house of God, and did eat the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, neither for them which were with him, but only for the priests." And then at verse 5, "Or have ye not read in the law, how that on the Sabbath days the priests in the temples profane the Sabbath, and are blameless? But I say unto you, that in this place is one greater than the temple. If ye had known what this means, I will have mercy and not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the guiltless. For the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath day." So why is it that Yeshua and his disciples were able to break the Sabbath but yet be found guiltless? Well, he says, have you not read what David did when he ate the showbread? So let's go head over to 1 Samuel, where he talks about David eating the showbread, which was unlawful, but he was found guiltless. So here in 1 Samuel chapter 21, I'm going to start at verse 2. And David said unto Ahimelech the priest, The king hath commanded me a business, and hath said unto me, Let no man know anything of the business whereabout I send thee, and what I have commanded thee, and I have appointed my servants to such and such a place. Now therefore, what is under thine hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread in mine hand, or what there is present. And the priest answered David, and said, There is no common bread under mine hand, but there is hallowed bread. But the young men have kept themselves at least from women. And David answered the priest, and said unto him, Of a truth, women have been kept from us about these 3 days since I came out, and the vessels of the young men are holy, and the bread is in a manner common, yea, though it were sanctified this day in the vessel. So the priest gave him hallowed bread, for there was no bread there but the showbread, that was taken from before the Lord, to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away. So the reason why there was only showbread is because this is on the Sabbath, and only the priests were allowed to eat the showbread on the Sabbath, because they were sanctified. And the only stipulation here was that David and his men were to be kept from women these past 3 days. So that would have been the 5th, 6th, and 7th day, which would have been the Sabbath, which is what this day is. And because they were kept from women, their vessels, their bodies, were made holy, and so they were then able to eat the showbread. So now we have to ask ourselves, how did David come to understand this fast from women, these 3 days leading into the Sabbath? That would be the 5th, 6th, and 7th day. Well, we know that David was a man after God's own heart, and he knew the law better than the priests. So somewhere in the Torah, this fast had to have been mentioned. So let's go find it. So here we're in Exodus chapter 19, starting at verse 10, and it says, And the Lord said unto Moses, Go unto the people and sanctify them, today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes, and be ready against the 3rd day. For the 3rd day the Lord will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. And thou shalt set bounds unto the people round about, saying, Take heed to yourselves, that ye go not up to the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever touches the mount shall surely be put to death. There shall not a hand touch it, but he shall surely be stoned, or shot through, whether it be beast or man, it shall not live. When the trumpet soundeth long, they shall come up to the mount. And Moses went down from the mount unto the people, and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said unto the people, Be ready against the 3rd day, come not at your wives. So we know that to be sanctified, to be made holy, has to do with not having sexual relations with your wife. And so now we're going to head over to the New Testament and show how Paul even understood this. So here in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, this is Paul talking, starting at verse 1. Now concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Let the husband render unto his wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife hath no power of her own body, but the husband, and likewise also the husband hath no power of his own body, but the wife. Defraud ye not one another, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. I speak this by permission, and not of commandment, for I would that all men were even as I myself. But every man hath his proper gift of God, one after this manner, and another after that. And in verse 5, this is where Paul is talking about there is a certain time, this fast, in which the husband and wife keep from each other, as long as it's consensual, where they have no sexual relations for the 5th, 6th, and 7th day, which is the Sabbath. So now we know that the key of David is a 3-day sexual fast on the 5th, 6th, and 7th day of each week between a husband and a wife. And this is why Paul says it's better if you're single, because the husband and wife have to both be in agreement to do this. And this fast is what sanctifies our bodies and makes them holy. Being righteous is following the 10 Commandments and the Rainbow Covenant, and being holy is having the key of David. And the key of David is what allows us to go to battle on the Sabbath and being found guiltless, or doing other things according to the will of God that would otherwise be breaking the Sabbath.